G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. We'll have all the show notes and any resources mentioned in the cast on our website. In late 2014, aged 38, Julie launched what is now the world's largest vegan and cruelty-free product website, now with more than 8,000 SKUs. They have a warehouse and small retail shop a little inland of Sydney. Describing their business as a platform for purpose, to do good, one of their initiatives has saved more than 30 tonnes of plastic after the move to minimal packaging. Adding a personal touch, handwriting each order, now they have done so more than 500,000 times. Grew from 60,000 in sales in the first year to now 20 million per annum, growing almost 700% in the last 3 years and more recently 30% per annum. Mainly sell in Australia but a little to New Zealand, UK and the USA. Julie and her husband started as the 2 FTE, they now have over 40. Funding was from their initial savings, then profits. Julie is passionate about disability employment, felt she'd succeeded when making a difference and lots of little moments like employing the first people, buying the warehouse and winning the Telstra Business Awards nationally. Hardest thing about growing a small business is keeping going. What Julie would tell herself on day one of starting out is don't give up and stress less. Welcome everyone. Today I'm interviewing Julie Mathers from Flora and Fauna. Thanks for your time today, Julie.
Thanks so much for having me on here, Troy. Really looking forward to it.
Same here. And how we know each other, about a month ago, I listened to your podcast with Tim Reed from Small Business Big Marketing, which was a great cast I've been getting into lately. I encourage the listeners to go over to that one as well. And I thought it was a wonderful interview you did with Tim.
Thank you. No, it was good fun. It's really good fun. He's very good. Very good at questioning.
Very good. Yeah. Yeah, if we were flying at the moment, I'd love to be up at Noosa and catch up with him at some point and have a beer. And Peter, our podcast editor, actually reached out to you before I got a chance to get you on the cast. So thanks, Peter. So tell our audience a bit about your business, where it's located, what it does and how it makes money.
Cool. So my business is called Flora and Fauna. We're located everywhere. We're global, but we're actually physically located in North Rocks, which is about 40 minutes north of Sydney. Mm-hmm. So it's really close to a place called Parramatta, which is kind of the heart of Sydney, without being at the Harbour Bridge.
And for those in the UK especially, I think to give some geographic context that they may understand, where they film Home and Away is about halfway between Sydney and you, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's close to Home and Away. It's not Neighbours, Neighbours.
Neighbours is Melbourne, yeah.
Yeah, Neighbours is Melbourne. So that's where we are. We're inland. We're not near beaches. We're not near any of that stuff. And what we do. So I regard Flora and Fauna as a platform for purpose. So we're an online store. We sell, it's over 8,000 products. Everything is vegan and cruelty-free. And we're actually the world's largest vegan store.
Wow,
so
great.
Yeah, coming out of little North Rocks.
Yeah.
We are also really focused on eco-conscious products. So we've got a huge range of plastic-free products, refillable products, reusable products, and we've also got a physical store too out at North Rocks, and that's a great, it's an awesome little store at the front of our warehouse where people can come in, buy products, blah blah blah, but also bulk refill quite a lot of the stuff we sell.
Yeah.
So we've been doing this for 6 years now. We launched in November 2014, and we were looking at the numbers the other day and going, geez, is that what we made?
Holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah, we were like, wow, we were so small. And we've grown significantly since then.
Yep.
And that's kind of what we do. And when I say, so I said at the start, we're a platform for purpose. We sell things, but actually when I set Flora and Fauna up, I set it up to be, to basically do good. So we use our reach, we use our engagement, and we use our profit to make a difference.
Yep.
Whether that is the products we sell, or recycling, or community, or whatever it is. So we do some cool stuff.
Great. And I think it's great timing. 6 years ago, consumers are becoming more and more conscious, not just of businesses with a purpose, but also the environmental impacts of all that packaging as well. I think that's, you've really hit the mark.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, we're very, very conscious of our packaging. And actually, it was, when was it? July? Oh, crikey. No, it was end of 2016, I think. Time's gone very quickly this last 6 years. I'm like, when was it? In 2016. And we went basically minimal packaging.
Mm-hmm.
So we put stuff in a box, and we put a handwritten note on the inside lid of the box. We've now written over 500,000 handwritten notes.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah, I reckon I wrote the first, I don't know, few thousand. And we put a handwritten note on the inside of the box, and we put the products in the box. We make sure it's safe, but that's it. There's not even a packing slip. There's no extra gubbins. There's no plastic. We just get products to people minimally.
Yep.
And we've saved we've worked it out. We've saved about 30 tons of plastic by doing that.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
And is that, did I hear on Tim's cast that you give the consumer an option to go minimal packaging?
Yes. Yeah, we do. So at checkout, you've got an option, so it's defaulted to minimal packaging.
Yep.
But you can also go premium packaging.
And feel like an arsehole.
I know that. No, we make people feel really bad. But we've tried to do it so people don't feel bad.
Got it. Okay.
So, and really for premium packaging, it's like, hey, it's still going to be plastic free, but instead of writing the note on the inside of the lid, we'll write it on a card, and we'll put it in some tissue paper. Mm-hmm. And so it's great for gifts. Yeah. So we don't want people to feel like they're bad humans.
Yeah. Well, tell us how you started out. What was the idea of the business, where that came from, and the early days?
Yeah, really. So I have worked in retail for a very, 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 very long time, from my first job in a bakery at the age of 16, 15 actually. And I just love retail. So I've always loved retail, and I've worked for lots and lots of different businesses. So in the UK, I've worked for John Lewis. I've worked for Virgin megastores when they were a thing. And we didn't. I was there in 2000 at Virgin megastores, and we were going, no, this download thing, it's not going to take off. And see you later, Virgin. And lots of different retailers over there. I've worked for a retailer in Japan called Eon, and here in Australia for Coles, for Woolies, for APG Co. So I've worked all over the world for lots of different retailers. Absolutely love it. But I sort of got to the point where I'm like, I think we can just do things better. Mm-hmm. So in reality, retailers aren't particularly conscious of many things. They're not very conscious of the waste they produce. They're not very conscious of sourcing, and they're not very conscious about who they employ. Not to put too fine a point on it. Mm-hmm. And it got to the point where I was like, right, you're either going to put up or shut up. It's like, do something. Either keep working for other people and just keep doing that, or just go and do something, Julie. So I kind of got to the age of 38. I was like, right, let's go and create a business, because if you're going to do it, you're doing it now. Yep. And at the same time, it was kind of an alignment of lots of different things at one time, because there was that happening. And then there was me. I'm a very passionate animal lover, and I wouldn't call myself an environmentalist, but I'm really conscious about our planet and what we do. And I can remember shopping it was actually in Boots in the UK, and I was looking for a lipstick. And I was like, I just don't know what's in this lipstick. It's really hard to figure it out. I don't know anything about this lipstick. I don't know if it's been tested on animals. I don't know what ingredients are in it. I don't know what those ingredients mean. So I was like, well, let's create a place where everything is cruelty-free and vegan. And so that's how we started. That aligning with me going, come on, do something. Yep. And aligning with my passion for animals and the planet kind of all just went, oomph.
Yeah, what a great confluence. I actually last week interviewed Anna Ross from Kester Black, and she started out a bit of an accidental entrepreneur as well, but with nail polish, and then recent years added lipstick, as you well know, because you stock them. Mm. And I think they're moving into more beauty products down the track as well. Yeah, but all been,
Yeah, you can create great products. You can create amazing products, but without having to, but without the cruelty, basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. And do you have any key numbers you can share with us to illustrate the growth?
Well, I do. So, yeah, the fancy number. So it's quite funny because the numbers change over the years. So when we started, we were there going, crikey, in year one, we grew 1,000%. But yes, that's based on a very, very, very small number.
Yeah.
So it's not quite like that in recent years. But we have grown significantly. We were actually in the Deloitte. So Deloitte ran a thing called Tech Fast 50.
Yep.
And we were lucky enough to be in that last year, actually. So we were number 9, and we've grown 697%, if I remember my numbers rightly, over the last 3 years. So we've grown quite significantly. This last year, we grew about 30%. And it was a really interesting and challenging year because Australia, although we are now officially in a recession, we've had recessionary behaviour for a very long time, and it was kind of a tale of two halves, pre-COVID and post-COVID.
Yes, yeah,
and we had the bushfires too, which massively impacted businesses all over Australia. It just impacted Australia.
So, do you sell much outside of Australia?
Yeah, we do. So it's a small percentage though. It is a small percentage. So markets outside for us is New Zealand, UK, and US really.
Yeah.
And but it's not a market that we've chased after particularly. And then with everything happening this year, it's certainly not something that we've been chasing after at all.
Yeah. And do you ship the orders to those countries from here, or your warehouse over there?
No, we ship from here.
Yep.
So so everything's shipped from here, and we just really focus on getting it there quickly.
Yep.
So we when we started out, we used to use DHL e-commerce, which is kind of like the budget bit of DHL.
Yep.
I'm sure they wouldn't be happy with me saying that. And it used to take, it would take sort of a couple of weeks or so, and very little tracking, and just hope and glory that it would get there. Anyway, in recent years, we've gone, no, we can't do that. We need to have quick shipping. So actually, for some of our international orders, it's quicker to get it from here to, say, the UK than getting from here to Perth in Australia.
Who are you using now, out of interest?
Aussie Post.
Wow, okay. Well, that's good.
I
have watched with interest. Aussie Post has been cleaned up in the last 10 years or so. I can't remember the old ex-CEO's name, but he did a great job there. And they bought Star Trek as well.
Yeah. They're getting there.
We've actually had Ben Crowley from Bulk Nutrients here on the cast before, and they're Tasmania's biggest Australia Post customer by a factor of 11 times. And they're in Australia Post top 10 for express post items in all of Australia. So, yeah, he's happy.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah. Well, getting number 9 in the Deloitte Fast, was it Fast 50 or Fast 100?
Fast 50, yeah.
Fast 50 in Australia is phenomenal growth, Julie. That's amazing. I had Matt Weir from First Table in New Zealand. They also made the Deloitte Fast 50 over there in New Zealand last year. It's a great indicator of growth and success. Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's good.
Any other numbers you can share to illustrate the growth?
Oh, I think, what do you want? What would you like?
Top line or number of staff growth?
Oh, yeah. So number of staff. So we started out as 2, my husband and myself. We're actually now sitting around 40.
Great. 40.
Yeah. It's actually kind of north of 40 because with COVID hitting, our orders have gone up. So it's interesting because that 30% that I talked about before, this year, we actually don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's a bit up in the air, but it will definitely be more than 30%.
Yeah. Great.
But we've gone and recruited 10 more people due to COVID. So it's actually been quite lovely to be able to give 10 people jobs.
Yeah, in these times. That's terrific.
In these times. So yeah, it's actually probably north of 40.
Yeah. And are many of them located there with you, or is it splayed around the globe?
Oh, most are located in North Rocks. But then we do work with some agencies and things. So mostly actually in Australia. So we've got our web developers, they're in Adelaide, graphic designers in Adelaide. And then we have various different marketing agencies most in Sydney or Melbourne.
Yep.
But yeah, it is largely Australia.
Yeah, great. That's great. And when was the moment you felt like you had succeeded?
So I don't think I have yet.
It's a tough one.
I'm still waiting for that. You know what? I don't think there's one moment. I think there's lots of little moments when you sort of when you give yourself a very, very small pat on the back.
Yeah.
And it's not a big one, because I think particularly, and you'd know this, when you're running your own business, and it's particularly when it's your own money, you're in a little bit of a constant state of stress.
Yes. Yeah.
And so when the few moments where we've gone, oh, okay, this is cool. When you first employ someone and you actually go, oh my God, I'm actually responsible for them.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for paying them. This is terrifying. That was quite a moment for us. And when we moved warehouse, that was a big moment. So when we started the business, we live on bushland out where we are. So, and when we bought the house, there was actually a warehouse / shed on it, because the people before us ran a business. So it was really handy. That also inspired me to go, I need to do something with this.
This is a sign.
It was a sign. It was absolutely a sign. So for the first 4 years of Flora and Fauna, we actually operated out of the shed. And it got to the point where it was ridiculous. We'd bought a shipping container to stick stock in. It was a treasure hunt every day to try and pick an order. And we kind of went, we just can't stay here. So we moved warehouse 2 years ago, and we looked like we're going to have to move again, actually. And that was quite a big moment. I can remember going into the warehouse and looking at it going, okay, we're now a proper business.
Yeah.
And I think that's more of the realization for me, when you go, this isn't a hobby. This is a proper business now. And I think those are the themes. I'm someone who always we won the Telstra Business Award a couple of years ago. Yep,
big award around in Australia. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, massive. Like, I was genuinely surprised and quite emotional over it, because it is such a huge award, huge process to get through it. And I was really, really quite shocked. And for me, that was a moment. That was another moment.
Yeah.
And in fact, we moved warehouse the next day. So we kind of celebrated, and then we were like, well, we're going to crack on.
Yeah. The dusty move. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, those are the moments when I've gone, oh, we're doing all right. Yeah. We're doing all right. Yeah.
And what does success look like to you?
To me, I think it's so different for different people. And for me, it's about making a difference. So I want to use my time on this planet to make a difference in some way.
Yep.
So whether that is disability employment, that's something I'm quite passionate about, because I have a child with a disability. So I often think, when you develop your purpose, it's often very, very relevant to your own personal experiences.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's something I'm very, very passionate about, along with everything else that we do in terms of being conscious of our planet. So for me personally, success is really, really based on making that difference. And looking back, I want to look back, and when I'm on my deathbed, and look back and go, I haven't left any stone unturned.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have regrets.
Yeah.
So I'm more than happy to make decisions that fail than to never make them and be left wondering.
Yeah. That's a great philosophy to have.
Yeah. And so I'm not particularly driven by money. I get I need it to live, but that wouldn't define me. And I'm not particularly driven by power or any of that sort of stuff.
Yep.
It's really about going, hey, have I done something good here?
Yeah.
And I get a massive buzz out of that. I get a massive buzz out of innovation and being able to deliver something. So for me, that's success. Along with being happy, I think that's really important. You gotta love what you do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
What's the number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast-growing business?
I listen to your customers.
Very important.
And one size does not fit all.
Yeah.
Because your mate running whatever business is doing social media and it's working doesn't mean to say it's going to work for you.
Yep.
And I think that's really, really key, because someone asked me, one of our suppliers actually asked me the other day, they went, I've got 50 grand to spend. Where should I spend it? Should I put it into Facebook or should I put it into PR? And I was like, oh God. And I just was there going, I think you're about to waste 50 grand.
Yeah.
And I said, look, it depends what you want to do. You're trying to get your story across, or you're just trying to sell product. If you're just trying to sell product, probably go social media but just go hard on performance marketing.
Yep.
If you're trying to tell your story, then PR. Maybe but you're not going to see the return.
It sounded like they didn't have a real strategy behind, like a marketing strategy.
They did not. Yeah. So that's a really good point. Get yourself a strategy. Work out what you want to do. Is it to build a really long-term brand and you need to tell your story? Or is it, I've got something and I need to make sales now? And once you've figured that out and figured out who your customers are as well, then you can make the call on where you're going to put your money and your dollars.
Yep. Great. How did you fund the business? Start up with your own capital? Have you had investors along the way, bank finance or government grants?
Yeah, none of the above. So I started it. The business is still 100% owned by me. Not even my husband doesn't even get a share. So yeah, 100% owned by me. And I started it up with some savings, some money that I'd saved over the years that I put into the business, and I sort of went in with the mentality that if I lost it, it would hurt me, but it wouldn't cripple me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't mean that I lost my house and everything else.
Good.
So yeah, I put my own money in it at the start, and then over the years, we have absolutely grown the business through cash generated. So one of the things that we've done and we actively made the decision on is that we were going to take, well, actually for a few years, we didn't take a salary at all because you can't, because you're throwing everything in. And then even now, the salaries that we take are much lower than where we were before, but both Tom and I were in big corporates. So, there's pros and cons. And we've really grown the business through cash generated. So we haven't worked with any investors. Grants, you know what, with the grants, so I've tried to go through the grants process a few times, but it's really quite difficult. And it's kind of almost, the barriers are so great that you just go, when you're running a small business, you go, I haven't really got time to go and apply for a grant.
Have you looked at any of those? There are people out there that will write grant submissions for you. Have you looked at that? Yeah.
So I went, so one contacted us actually, and I won't say their name, but one contacted us, and I said, hey, this sounds great. And they sent a contract to us, which was a 3-year tie-in. And I was like, I'm not doing a 3-year tie-in, no chance. It's like, you can do one submission.
Yep.
That's, and then we'll see where we go from there. So anyway, I questioned the contract a couple of times, and I actively encourage anyone who's going for grant submissions to look at the contract.
Yep.
And I questioned a couple of things on the contract, and they went silent. Right. So I kind of just went, okay, fair enough. Yeah. So I just so it kind of put me off grants, actually. Yeah. I think they're a really good thing to do. it ended up being in the too hard basket for us.
Yeah.
When we're trying to run a business and do everything else. So we just went, but I know you can get a lot of money out of the grants.
You can, but you're right. It can take a lot of time, and you're not obviously guaranteed of landing any of them. So it is a judgment call. You might just be better putting your focus, your highly valuable time, into just growing the business and marketing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
The industry that we're in now, when I started, there weren't many people in it. There weren't many businesses. It's now fairly well saturated.
Yeah.
So to do it, I think you've got to have a massive point of difference. And as an example, so because you might not necessarily do what we do, but you might go, I'm going to start up a skincare business, or I'm going to start up, I don't know, hair care or something like that. I wouldn't. I think, and to put this in, to give this some context, we get about 50 emails, probably even more, 50 to 100 emails a week from brands wanting us to sell their product, and they're generally skincare or hair care or something of or nutrients, even something of that nature. And most are really not set up for it properly. It's a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And skincare particularly is massively saturated.
Yep.
It's so saturated. And a great example is this morning, one of our brands, who's a big, well-known brand, they launched a skincare range, and we've stocked it now for maybe 2 years. And they emailed this morning and said, hey, we're pulling it. It's just not working.
Right.
It's a very, very hard market to get into. And I think to do it, you need to have a massive point of difference to do that. And it is difficult. So I wouldn't say don't. I just think go in with your eyes hugely wide open.
Yeah, good advice. Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it? Just one.
Yeah, just the one. I think probably the most stressful, when you start off, life's not actually that stressful because the numbers that you're dealing with are very small. So numbers are small.
Number of staff, team members.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all small. Number of staff, number of customers, it's Tom and I packing orders in the evening over a bottle of wine, that kind of stuff. It's
Yep.
we often recollect to those days and go, do you remember? And it's pretty easy, and also your risk is low as well, because if something happens, it's like, it's a couple of grand, maybe at worst. Now it's huge.
Yeah.
So that's been one of the most sort of stressful bits is the growth in terms of cash flow. And it kind of came to a bit of a head for us last year because we moved to a new website. So for a year, we've been building this website, and we went to a really big platform, which is absolutely, now we're in a really good spot, and it was the right thing to do. But the website...
out of interest, is that Magento or...
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard
Magento 2. So a lot of people go to Shopify, and I'm like, yeah, we could go to Shopify, but we'll be moving again in 2 years.
Yeah.
Because they can't do everything we want. So whereas with Magento, if we dream it, we can do it.
Right.
And we can literally do anything. But the journey to get there wasn't easy. And the website build, as an example, was pretty much triple the cost.
Wow. And that was, so you use external consultants obviously for that?
Yeah. Yep. It was triple the cost. And when you're a small business and you're financing it yourself, it just destroys you.
Yeah.
So we had quite a stressful time towards the end of last year, plus softening sales in terms of customers just in general not purchasing. So we're paying for this massive website, plus softening sales, plus when you actually transition the website, it takes a bit of transition time and migration, and you have bugs and everything else. So it's a really stressful time for us at the end of last year. And we're through it, and crikey, we're bloody happy we're through it.
Yeah.
But for a while, we were quite stressed. And I think the tricky thing there is Tom and I are really stressed about it, but you can't portray any of that stress to your team.
No.
So you've got to keep it close to you.
Yeah.
So that's definitely, it's all down to, it's cash management. That's the key.
Yeah. Yep. And what area in business do you feel you had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
Our brand voice, I think, because that permeates through everything we do.
Yep.
And that's us. That's who we are. So it's very much our purpose and our brand voice. I think, I could kind of go, we can do some analytics around marketing, but it's quite superficial in some ways. Whereas for us, it's our heart and our soul about who we are.
Yep.
And that's the bit that when I'm working on it, and I'm the custodian of it, that gives us the most value because it impermeates to every one of my team who are sort of focused on what they're doing, but it also just flows through everything we do.
Yeah. And you've built up quite a loyal and passionate tribe. As I mentioned before we started recording, my girlfriend has loved your website for years. She's a VIP customer now. She told me how much she spent the other day and she was shocked herself, but absolutely loves what you guys stand for and what you do. And I can imagine that with your wider customer base. You obviously have thousands of loyal customers now, and it does come from that the purpose and the voice and the way you communicate that keeps them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's got to, I always go, because a few people say to me, how do you be green, or how do you be eco or whatever? And I was like, you've got to drive it from the heart.
Yes.
It's not an initiative. It's part of our DNA.
Yeah.
And it's just, someone said, I was filling in some survey or something on the weekend for something, and they said, what initiatives have you done at Flora and Fauna? And I was like, well, I can talk to you about them. And I said, but it's everything we do every day.
Yeah.
It's, do we decide to stock that product or not? Do we decide to put that social media post up or not? It's just every single thing we do, because it just runs through us, and it is our core DNA, and you can't manufacture that. You can try.
Yeah. But your tribe will see through it eventually. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, I agree.
What have you enjoyed least about managing the fast growth?
I think so when you grow quickly, you kind of stick your head above the parapet a bit.
Yep.
And you become a bit of a tall poppy. And there's lots of people that would like to lop you off at that poppy level.
It's very common in Australia, the tall poppy syndrome. Yeah.
Tall poppy syndrome. It's like, you're kind of going, hey, we're here. And it's amazing, because when you grow quickly, that's what happens. And lots of wonderful people like yourself want to talk to us. But there's also lots of people who go, we don't like tall poppies. We're going to make them lock them off. So whether that's competitors or the like, whatever. I'm someone who very much runs my own race, and I like running my own race. And I'm mindful, but I don't really care what other people do, because I've got my plan and I've got my focus. But sadly, not everyone is like me. No. So that's probably the bit that I've liked the least.
What have you loved most about the growth and growing a business?
Making a difference. Yeah. It's when you see, it's kind of the little things every day. It's when you go, I'm a massive trader. Mm-hmm. So we tried to do a new promotion back in July, and I said, let's just give this a go. And I love looking at the sales. Yeah. And I'm just like, look at that go. That's awesome. That's work. So I love that stuff. And Tom always jokes with me, because I'm a huge, I think just growing up in retail, really, I'm just such a huge trader, and I just love trying new things, mm-hmm. and seeing what works, and testing and seeing what resonates, and also going, that didn't work. Why didn't it work?
Yeah.
And so actually, probably one of the things I love most is change.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which actually is something that a lot of people don't like. but I do like it because change means that we're growing.
Yep.
And growing as individuals and as a business. So yeah, it's kind of doing different things every day. And also what's quite cool is having a platform where you can literally do what you want. Because no one's telling you the only people you're accountable to are your customers and your team.
Yep. That freedom is great, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you must be loving the age of online marketing because it's so measurable. You can test, you do A/B testing, see the ROI in campaigns and learn from, all that data. It's wonderful.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely love it. I know in various companies, when we do TV advertising, and I don't want to knock TV advertising because TV absolutely has its place, particularly at the moment when people are inside watching TV. But you'll go and talk to them, they'll go, right, let's talk to you about the tarps. I'm like, I still don't know what blooming tarps are. I'm like going, what? Whereas, we can look at Google, we can look at, and also you can split it down. So it's not just AdWords. It's like, okay, let's have a look at the retargeting part. Let's have a look at the brand campaign. Let's have a look at the dynamic search ads. We can get it right down to the nth degree to see what's working. And being someone that's quite data driven, I love that.
Yeah. What's been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
Moving from corporate to small business. That was the company I worked for before. So I've worked for the two biggest supermarkets over here, Coles and Woolies, and actually really enjoyed my time at both. But when there's lots of red tape. To put it nicely, there's lots of red tape. You can't really. It's hard to drive change, I found, and. Often, if something goes wrong, corporate affairs get involved and blah, 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 blah. And it's just, you end up second guessing yourself half the time. And what I found was I'd put barriers up.
Yep, that weren't there.
Yeah, that weren't there. And so it's kind of, I almost had got to the point where I was like, oh no, we can't do that because it'll never get through. So you just shut it down before you've even started it.
Yep.
And I had to lose that with small business. And I remember when we started, I was there going, ooh, because we start posting on social because it's a great way to start. Basically, just start posting stuff because as much as anything, it gets you used to talking about your brand, gets you your voice. And I started posting things and I'm like, oh, can't say that. That would be, we might get sued by A, B, C, and D. Whereas, and it took me a while to shake off those shackles and go, no, this is your business and you can talk as you like.
With it.
Exactly. You don't have to, you can literally do what you want. And as long as you're not breaking the law, that's not good. Always think about consumer law. Actually, that is one big piece of advice to any small business. Please look at consumer law because I see it being breached every single freaking day. And it's like, just get yourself familiar with consumer law. But yeah, that was a big thing, was for me to get my head out of where I had been for a very long time and into this. And I don't think I could go back now. I think it would suffocate me.
And what's the number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
Relentlessness.
I think that's the most common answer on here is persistence or being relentless. Yeah. It's the one thing that I was asked the other day when I last took a holiday, and I cannot remember, like it was years and years ago. And I can even remember that Tom and we went over to Europe, I don't even know, maybe 4 years ago or something. And we went to Venice, beautiful Venice. Tom's never been to Venice, never even been to Italy. And he's a Kiwi, so he's not really been out of this southern hemisphere. Yeah. And we went over to Venice, and I can remember we were both sat in the hotel with our laptops. Work. Tom's doing invoicing, and I'm doing whatever I'm doing. And we were missing beautiful Venice. Yeah.
And you have to have an absolute relentless commitment to what you're doing. Because if you because you will get knocked back, you will have bad days, you will have all of that sort of stuff. So you've got to be so committed and so relentless to it. At the same point, you can't throw good money after bad. Mm-hmm. So if something's not working, just listen to your gut and call it.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
Want to become the best manager you can be? Check out our Kick-Ass Manager course at growasmallbusiness.com. Do the course, then add your fellow managers for no extra cost. Join the 30%. 70% of people quit their job because of their manager. Tell us how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes and advice for those listening, because you've grown quite a big team now.
Yeah, we have. And culture's massive for us. Yep. So
that's the next question, yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. It's. I think they go so hand in hand, mm-hmm. because, when it's Tom and myself, we have our little microculture, and we want that microculture to exist. But when you're adding people on it, and actually you're adding them on at scale at times, because at one point, really early in our journey, sales went through. They doubled in a month, and we went, oh my God, we need to get more people in the warehouse, and we recruited 10 people to the warehouse. Well, when you're doing that, you're not necessarily going, hey, are you a good fit to the team? Mm-hmm. You're just going, can you pack orders? Brilliant. Come on. and that's probably where that's probably our biggest learning in terms of making sure there are really, really, really good culture fits.
Yeah.
And that's where we've succeeded and failed.
Yeah. If you get the wrong people, they're not. If they're toxic or they just don't genuinely buy into your values and what you're trying to achieve, then you're leaving value on the table. You just want to get more out of them.
That's right. And we have a really, really awesome team. And what I think is the most important thing, for me, this is a really telling point, actually. So if you have people in your team, listen to them. If they say we and talk about we and us and our, I'm like, I give myself like a little happy dance inside. But we've had people before where it goes, oh, this is great for you. Oh, this is good for you. This is all about your business. And it's like, no, this is ours. This is ours.
It's a powerful yet simple trick. And I use that when I'm working with businesses, working with the leadership team or the management team. And I'll hear if they're saying I a lot or my, this is my project, etc. I obviously coach them on that to show them a more inclusive and empowering vocabulary to use rather than just it's all about them. But in recruitment particularly, I look for that. If someone naturally uses the team, the words around team, us, we, my, instead of my or mine, then, it goes to speak. It speaks to their mindset towards, working in a team or being, the focus is on them.
Absolutely. One thing we do is when we do an interview, I've just recruited for a buyer actually, mm-hmm. and the poor girl ended up having 4 interviews because I wanted to get it right.
That's good vetting. Yeah,
and it's like we've got to get this right. It's a really important job, and it's got to be a good fit. And so what I did was I got 3 of the team to actually go and interview her as well.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And we all had to be hands joined in terms of going, yep, she's right.
Yep.
And we do that now with everybody. And since doing that, we've had great results.
Yeah, that's a really good mechanism, control. Yeah. And what are some things you'd recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help with that growth?
I think definitely the point there around getting your team involved in recruitment. I also think, and this is a really difficult part as an owner and founder, let go.
It's so fucking hard, isn't it?
It's so hard. And the team will say to me, because one of the interviewees said the other day, oh, what are the things I need to be conscious of? And they said, one of the hardest things you'll find is that Julie takes her time to let go.
They said that in front of you?
Oh no, they would absolutely say it in front of me.
Yeah.
And I go, I know, but so my husband says to me a lot, he goes, sometimes, Julie, you've just got to let people drop the ball.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, never. So, but I do think it's really important that you've got to let go. And of course, there's that initial bit of trust and going, okay, you're going to do it. Cool. It's putting the training wheels on.
Yes.
And then going, the training wheels can come off and you go ride.
That's it. I remember working at one of the colleges at Melbourne University 10, 15 years ago when I was in Melbourne, and we were building a little tutorial web-based system for them, and I was meeting with the head nun, and the door knocked, someone knocked on the door and came in, popped her head in, and the nun said, oh, yeah, you need this, and whatever, and she left, and the nun leaned in and said, I've found it's really powerful if when someone's starting, you get a project, if you don't Peter, you don't complete all the projects they're about to take on, so they've got a clean start. If you've got a few there that you can leave at 80%, they come in and let them finish it, and then they feel a lot more ownership and, engaged and empowered.
Yeah, so important. It's something that one of the team did recently, actually, and it was driven by COVID because we're all in different spots. In fact, Justina, team, she goes, we need to set up a Slack channel. And I am someone, I hate process. Mm-hmm. So I know what I'm good at, and I also know what I'm not, I just don't enjoy, actually. And it's like, oh God. And I said to her, oh my God, are you giving me another tool to use?
Yeah.
And she said, it's really good. So I was like, fine. I was like, you set it up, you champion it. I had to just tell me what to do, but you champion it. Anyway, it has been one of the best things that we have done as a business.
Right.
Because Justine owns it, she champions it, she sets up channels, but the entire team get involved. And this is people in the warehouse who are on casual contracts with us, where they'll talk about cool products they found. They'll talk about issues we've got with the warehouse. It can be anything from talking about this stock has arrived, what is it? Mm-hmm. Through to, I saw this product on the weekend, it's a recommendation, through to a customer's asked us for an amazing hand cream that cures rosacea.
Yep.
What is there? And it's a brilliant platform, and that has helped us massively with culture.
That's great, but also just tapping into that wider collective knowledge of what's going right and wrong around the business and new ideas. Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah, really good.
Tell our audience how you've handled balance.
Okay, so I do not handle balance. I think that is the reality. So I prefer it to call it flexibility.
Uh-huh. Yep.
The reality is, before I started Flora and Fauna, before I got married, before I had kids, you do your job, and our focus was far more on let's go here on the weekend, or let's go there on the weekend, or let's have breakfast, or let's do, all of that sort of stuff. Then Flora and Fauna hit, and the reality is we work 7 days a week. Yep. And we have done for 6 years. So it depends how you define balance. For me, I'm really happy. I'm comfortable with how we operate at the moment. I don't want to operate like this forever, for sure. But I've also just got 2 small babies. I just had a baby 3 months ago.
Yep.
So I'm spinning plates.
Yes.
But what I do have through Flora and Fauna is flexibility. Mm. So today, as an example, I'm working from home and I've got the kids. Luckily, they're asleep right now.
Yep.
But, and Tom's in. And then tomorrow I'm going in and Tom's at home. And we have the flexibility to do that. And reality is, during the day, we get some stuff done. But a lot of it is feeding kids and changing nappies.
Yep.
And we end up doing a lot of work from 6 till 12.
Yeah, and I used to get that as well. People would say, oh, you work such long hours. And I say, no, I don't. I know how many hours I work, so I track my time really simply. My calendar just with a hashtag.
Yeah.
I like to time shift. I start early in the morning between 5:30 and 7 most days. And sometimes the weeks I don't have my daughter, I work on a Saturday to make up for the weeks that I do have her. So I can work a 20 or 25-hour week those weeks, pick her up from school, drop off, and do fun stuff. And I think you're right. It is more about flexibility these days and balance. And I'll just read out, I had Kate Cashman on the cast from Mana Movement, And I mentioned her footer in that cast, but I didn't have it to hand at the time. And I just love the way that she's put this in her footer to really drive home about working odd hours, so people don't get that false impression that she's working a 60 or 80-hour week. She says in the footer, I prioritise a family-friendly and flexible working environment for my business. So if you are getting this email outside of business hours, it is because I'm working at a time that best fits my life and work. Unless my email has urgent in the subject header, there is no expectation for you to respond out of your own working hours. And I just thought that was brilliant.
I love that. I am going to steal that.
I'll copy and paste and send when I send you this.
Thank you. I love that, because one of the questions the buyer had for me at the interview is, basically, I see that you work at crazy hours. Yeah. Is your expectation that we do the same? Yeah. And I'm like, no. I never expect anyone to do that. This is just how I work.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's changing. People are getting more used to it these days, especially COVID, with people working a lot more from home in COVID. But I really battled with that. Friends and family would just, think I'd be working crazy hours, but I prefer to work hard in the morning when I've got my most energy and focus post caffeine, and then go to the gym or for a swim or a bushwalk with Douglas, my dog, or go and play some golf,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Love that. That's brilliant.
What about, how do you go, because you sound like you've got quite an active mind, how do you go shutting that off when you're not working?
Really difficult. Yeah. I've always had a massively active mind, and it's just the way I operate. It's also what spurs me on. My husband has said to me, he goes, you would never not be able to do anything. And he's so right, because I'm constantly cooking up. I've got plans on the cooker all the time. The way I kind of, I suppose, relax a little bit or get a bit of me time is I do bushwalking.
Yep, great.
So I used to do, and I'll get back to it, but so I was a big runner. Mm-hmm. So I've run like 8 marathons and things, and I just, I love my running. Yep. However, I also love my skiing, and I tore my ACL.
Snow skiing? Water?
No, snow skiing. Love skiing. But in 2016, tore my ACL. So I've had 3 surgeries on that now, which has impeded my running.
Yep.
So between that and having 2 kids and everything else, my running's on the back foot.
Yeah.
So right now, and I kind of go, when it all first happened, I was like, oh my God, my world is imploding. And now I've got to the point where I'm going, it's not imploding, Julie. It just means you can do what you can do right now.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, for me right now, I go on an hour and a half bushwalk every day.
Yeah.
And that is my time that I get out in nature, which I love.
Yes.
And it's non-screen time.
Yeah, me too. I usually get an hour in with Douglas, and that's where I do a lot of my professional development, which we're about to talk about. Listen to an audio book or a podcast. But it's often echoed over Hobart, because where I go walking is the hills above Hobart. You'll often hear me yelling at Douglas. If he's come across a dead wallaby and he decides to roll in it, that's the only time you won't come in.
Oh.
Yeah. Great. Bushwalking, I love it.
Yeah, beautiful.
How much professional development did you invest in yourself over the years, in the last 6 years?
Yeah, quite a lot over the years. I'm an interesting one, I suppose, because I've had your traditional education. So went to school, did all that, went to uni, did all that good stuff. But I'm also, I think, having gone through all that, and you're kind of on a bit of a treadmill and you just do it. But what I've learned about myself, particularly in my working life, is that actually I learn really well from doing.
Yep.
Rather than sitting in a room and, listening.
Yeah.
So over the years, and I think it's really, really important to figure out how you learn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because it's not all the same for everyone. Some people are really visual.
Yes.
So over the years, I've had quite a bit of development, and one of the coolest courses actually that I went on. In fact, this is a very cool course. So I spent 2 years from 2007 to 2009 working in private equity in the UK, pre-GFC. Mm-hmm. Then the GFC hit and the PE company went bust. But whilst I was there, one of the coolest courses I went on was a negotiation course.
Yes, that's come up in the past before. I've heard that's a great skill to learn. Yeah.
It was brilliant. It was a 3-day course. And I was doing it. So my role at the private equity company was a portfolio manager. So I looked after some of the investments, and we did it with some of our portfolio companies. So I'm there doing it with CEOs of big retailers in the UK, and there's little old me. And at the time I would have been 30, 31, 32, something like that. So quite the youngest person in the room. And it was a really, really great course when you think about, okay, when you're negotiating, it's a partnership, and what are you prepared to give on, and what are you prepared to not give on, and all the rest of it. And I think that has been the most useful course for me over the years.
Yeah, it was Christopher Stenhouse from Switch Media a few months ago on the cast. He and I sit on the advisory board of Ratho Farm, the oldest golf course here in Australia, with accommodation as well. And it's on my reading list, the books that he recommended around negotiation. He said it was for the same thing for him. He's done a lot of professional development, but that really stood out for him.
Yeah. I think I think it's something you use it every day. Like I used it this morning. I was talking to a supplier when they said, "Oh, we can't give you 600 units. We can give you 300." And I just went, and you kind of, and in automatically in my head, I was like, what's my worst case scenario, and am I prepared to accept it? And it was like, okay, fine, we don't take any. And I was like, in my head, I was going, yeah, I'm prepared to accept that.
Yeah. What's your walk away?
So just walk away. And it's such I use it multiple times a day. Such a useful, for me, that was a useful course. But I think anything around negotiation, I strongly recommend.
Absolutely, especially if you've got kids. I'm forever negotiating with my 7-year-old about bloody chocolate or some snack or late 8. No, you've had 3 today. I don't think your mother listens to this, so I'll make that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'll fail on children miserably. The kids have me already.
Yeah. What about mentors or coaches? Have you had any along the way you can share your experience about?
Yeah, so I have not formally. Yeah. And again, this is just me. I'm very much someone who's got a really cool network. I've got a great network. Yep. And I'll always give someone a call if I've got something that I just want to chew the fat on. Yep. So I remember talking to one of my old boss. He won't, I doubt he'll listen, but anyway, I'll get him. Keith Louie, he's awesome. So he used to, he was a GM of online at Coles, and then he went off to go and run Aussie Farmers Direct. And someone who I think is fantastic, really nice bloke. And I have learned a lot from him over the years. But he's someone who I might not talk to for 2 years, and then I'll go and pick up the phone to him and we'll just talk about something. And I always get a lot out of those calls. So for me, it's about having a great network that you can pull on rather than having a specific mentor. I have done it in the past where I've had a mentor, but it didn't work for me because I kind of felt like I had to come up with stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
And I was there going, but I haven't got anything right now.
I'm a big fan of the peer mentoring. I've got a great network down here. When I was in London as well, we had a great peer mentoring group over there, which catch up over a beer. And same here in Tasmania and Australia. It's just wonderful to think. This happened just the other day. Something came up and I thought, I'll give such and such a call about that because that's their kind of expertise, their area. And that was, great help.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you have a board of directors or advisors?
No, it's Tom and myself. We probably should have, but no, right now, I think as we've grown, we've gone, probably could be something that would be handy.
Yep.
But at the moment, I think it would be, if it was just me and it wasn't Tom, I would have done by this stage.
Yeah.
Because it's really good for us to talk at each other and bounce ideas.
Yep.
And I think if you're a founder on your own, you need that.
Yeah.
You need that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Julie, we're into the final 5 questions. What do you think is the hardest thing in growing a small business?
Keeping going.
Good.
Not giving up. Don't give up.
And favourite, I'll wait for that bird to stop in the background. And favourite business book which helps you, favourite business book which has helped you the most?
I really love Tony Hsieh's delivering happiness.
Okay, haven't read that one.
Now, he's the founder of Zappos in the US.
Oh, yes, right.
Yep. Mm-hmm. He's a cool, like, his book's cool. Like, definitely. He's gone from, and he's a really kooky character. And he's all about the customer experience. I just went, so Zappos is about 20 years old.
Yeah.
And I went around their head office in Las Vegas. And they are so focused on the customer. It's awesome. So really good book to read.
Yep. Great. Any great podcasts or online learning tools you use for your own professional development?
There's a few podcasts I listen to, and it really depends who's on. So Creative Little Souls, cool one. There's also I have listened to Mark Boris's The Mentor.
Yeah, I've just started. That's a good one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a cracking one. It's, again, very different. They're probably two.
Yep.
I like. Yep.
One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
A tool. It depends what you're doing. If you're focusing on social media, use a tool like Sprout Social, or Hootsuite's normally too large. Don't bother with Hootsuite.
Yeah.
Something like a monitoring tool.
Mm-hmm.
And if I think back maybe 2 years ago, at that time, I said that was the best decision I'd made in terms of a tool.
Right.
And we still use it.
Yep.
Because it just brings everything into one platform, and it makes your workflow so much easier to manage.
Yeah, great. I'll look that one up. And last question, what would you tell yourself on day one of starting out?
Two things. Do not give up, and stress less.
I think I would say the same thing to myself. Yeah.
Don't sweat the small stuff. And it's because you're going to get knocked back a lot. Like I got knocked back on something this morning, and part of me goes, fucking hell. And then part of me just goes, just move on. You cannot take things personally.
Yeah.
Actually, that's probably the one thing I tell myself, do not take things personally.
Yep.
It's not about you. Like, for your sanity, leave that stuff.
Yep. Great advice. And thanks for your time today, Julie. I think the audience will get a lot of value out of it. Very interesting journey. Some huge wins and successes there. Telstra Business Awards, Deloitte number 9 in the Deloitte Fast 50, phenomenal. And the growth that the business has gone through in the last 6 years, and the team you've built around you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Absolutely. Love being on it, Troy. So thank you for having me.
Thanks. And for our audience, we would greatly appreciate a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. More reviews means we bubble up higher in iTunes, etc. So more business owners looking for podcast help with their growth will find us.